Magandang umaga, magandang tanghali, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Ako nga pala si Michael Peña.
And ako nga pala si Brian Anthony Garcia. And kasama natin si Rafferty Uy. Pwede mo mong mabigyan kami ng quick introduction about sa'yo, anong mga ginagawa mo, and what are you passionate about?
Hi, Rafferty to. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, or hapon or gabi. Ako si Rafferty Uy. I'm an Azure architect in Microsoft. Dati dyan ako nasa Pinas nakatira, and I was basically helping customers adapt to the cloud. What that means is may mga customers na bumili ng Azure, gusto na nilang gumamit ng cloud pero hindi lang nila alam paano mag-umpisa, or may project sila na gusto nilang hindi nila alam paano tapusin, right? So doon ako tumutulong as a cloud solution architect. Ngayon nandito na ako sa Singapore sa Microsoft Technology Center, where more than Azure, tinitingnan ko na yung 3 clouds. That's the modern workplace, yung Microsoft 365, pati yung Dynamics 365 Power Platform, and I'm looking at basically cross-cloud integration. What I'm passionate about, although I'm looking at many different areas of the cloud, main passion ko pa rin is application development and DevOps. So so I think marami sa mga nakikinig ngayon is may development background, so sana makatulong ko.
Yep. Additional question lang dun, how long have you been working for Microsoft pala? Including yun dito sa Philippines.
I've been in Microsoft for about 5 years now. Before that, mostly nandun ako sa mga SI companies. So before that, puros .NET yung ginagawa ko. C#.NET for Windows, for SharePoint, for ASP.NET. Ang isang nakakatawang trivia, nung nag-join ako sa Microsoft nung 2015, doon lang ako napilitan mag-aral ng PHP, ng Node.js, ng Linux. Dati puros Microsoft products. Kung kailan nag-join ako Microsoft, doon ako na kailangan matuto ng
And I think
iba.
yun din yung time, 'di ba, na si Microsoft mas naging open sa sa open source, yung advent ng 2014, 2015. Doon mas malakas yung push nila.
Yes, that's true.
And then, Rafferty, kailan ka naman nag-start mag-cloud? Way before ba ni Microsoft, or do you remember? Or what?
I think it's so as a cloud user, I think a lot of us uses the cloud and we just don't realize. For example, before ang uso is yung mga Dropbox, mga storage, Hotmail, 'di ba? Mga online email services na cloud pala siya. In terms of work, meron lang akong project na ginagawa dati na more SQL Server na nasa data center ng customer and all. Tapos meron lang kaming mini parang assessment on the side on the feasibility of moving this to the cloud. Na ano lang yun, 2014 lang ata yun, or 2013. And that's when I started to just try to look at ano ba tong Azure na to. Diba? Tapos paano ko ililipat tong SQL Server namin, yun mga Windows application namin, kaya ba o hindi. Yun mga ganun. So doon ako nag-start mag-aral ng cloud.
And then, yung nung una mong nakita si cloud, una mong nagamit si Azure, was it kind of like love at first sight, or or hindi mo siya talaga panagustuhan agad-agad?
I think nung una kong naggamit si Azure, medyo nalito ako. And the reason for that is coming from a development background. Buti na lang, architect role na ako na. So medyo may konting alam ako sa infra. Pero I realized when you start using Azure, or actually any cloud, hindi pwedeng dev lang yung alam mo. Diba? Parang kailangan you have a certain level of understanding of infrastructure, of networking, of maski microservices pa yan, paano ba sila nagko-connect, yung ports nila, yung mga ganyan. Pag hindi mo naintindihan yun, medyo ang hirap maintindihan ng cloud pag gusto mo mag hands-on.
Di ba kaya nga, feeling ko yun din yung time na para nagsabay din yung advent ng cloud and DevOps na mas na-empower yung developers na matuto rin ng operations and at the same time yung ops, mas natuto rin silang i-code yung infrastructure.
Oo nga. Kasi dati, bago mag-cloud, puros agile yung pinag-uusapan, di ba? But before, when we were talking about agile, maski in our case, ang bilis na namin mag-code at mag-deploy. Pero yung operations team, yung infra team, nagre-reklamo na sila. Parang kailangan 3 weeks bago ma-provision yung dev environment. Kailangan ilang weeks bago ready to support or to deploy or to ganyan. Diba? So, yun, nung nagka-cloud, biglang napabilis yung buhay ng lahat. Tapos biglang nagka-DevOps na.
Okay. Sige. So, although na-topic mo, na-banggit mo na rin naman, di ba, about Azure. Pero what do you think for our Filipino audiences, di ba, na what is really Azure for them? You know, whether student, developers, or IT pros, what can Azure give them?
Okay, so Microsoft Azure is one of the best clouds in the world. Of course, in my opinion, it's the best cloud in the world. Ang interesting thing with Azure, and if you look at different online sources and reports, pag may about development, best development cloud or tool, ganyan, lilitaw si Azure. If it's about data, if it's about AI, if it's about security, if it's about infrastructure engineering, o ganyan, lilitaw si Azure sa lahat ng yan. So I think for our audience today, you may be working on a certain field. Maybe you're a data scientist, maybe you are a developer, maybe you are an infra engineer, or maybe hindi mo lang alam saan ka pa mag-start, diba? Ang okay kay Azure, usually in almost every area, leaders naman si Azure dun, right? So it gives you the ability to kind of learn different technologies. That's one. If you're already in a company naman and you're thinking of strategic growth and all that, Azure should be able to meet your needs today. But one of the good things is if you have other needs in the future, siguro 5 years later pa o 10 years later niya pa kailangan. Most likely, leader din si Azure sa area na yun. Right? So I would look at Azure not just for the immediate term, but also for the long term.
Alright. So one thing na napansin ko din, not just Azure, I would say Microsoft in general, is yung mga complex products or services, pinapadali nila talaga na parang it's easy to get started. Yung border or yung bridge to cross, let's say yung sa AI right now, di ba? I think it's getting much more subsidized, nagiging mas madali yung barrier of entry, di ba?
Agree. So, si Microsoft is also a leader sa low-code and no-code. So, ngayon meron kaming mga try gawin like AI for citizen data scientists and applications for citizen developers. So, kaya siya citizen, ibig sabihin, hindi mo kailangang nag-aral ng computer science. Maski nasa business ka, you should be able to create an application yourself using, for example, Power Platform. Yeah.
So ako naman may question naman ako, Rafferty. Pero ano naman to? I'm not saying na you're recruiting right now or you're hiring right now naman. Pero in your team, meron ba kayong specific skills or on-demand skills na hinahanap nyo sa mga candidates nyo to work for Microsoft? Something like that?
Okay. Interesting question. I think ang napapansin ko ngayon, growing up, when I think about career, when you attend a lot of career talks, leadership talks, ganyan, lagi nilang sinasabi, find your strength, diba? And then focus on your strength. When it comes to the cloud, dapat meron ka nung strength na yun. But hindi pwede doon ka lang nakatingin. So for example, dito sa mga skills and opening, and not just in Microsoft but in almost every company that requires cloud skills, kailangan medyo marunong ka mag-dev at marunong ka mag-infra. So for example, pag developer ka, kailangan marunong ka ng konting networking, konting infrastructure, naintindihan mo yung auto-scaling, ganyan. Pag infrastructure ka naman, kailangan marunong ka magsulat ng scripts for infra as code. Kasi may DevOps na eh. Hindi na pwedeng server lang eh, di ba? Lahat software-based na. Oops. Teka lang, may aeroplanong lumilipad sa bahay ko. Narinig
Okay
mo
lang
ba
yan.
yun? Narinig mo ba yun? Kasi nasa Old Airport Road ako, may military base atang malapit. Yeah, so yan, nasa na ba ako? So infra skills, diba? Pag infra ka, you may need to learn infra as code, Terraform or ARM template to write, to script the infrastructure. If you're a data scientist naman, kailangan naintindihan mo na rin ng konti yung microservices and all para magamit ng developers yung data models na ginagawa mo. Diba? So when I think yun medyo missing these days, and even in Microsoft, it's one of the things I think that we're looking for, is yun kayang medyo cross-skilled ka in different areas. So usually, so in my opinion, yun yung isa sa mga titignan ko.
So ayun, kahit paano pala meron ako ng mga skills na nabanggit mo. Well, at least some of them. So so tingnan natin in the
How
future.
about ako may tanong din ako. I mean, follow up lang doon, di ba? How about dun sa mga non-technical? Let's say yung mga nasa management, or let's say analyst, or mga decision making people. What is cloud for them?
I think for them, cloud is a way for them to meet business needs faster. And parang in a way, it's from a tactical perspective, it helps them meet immediate short-term needs. Pero from a long-term perspective, meron din silang use the cloud to mitigate risks. Like if you're not yet in cloud, you can use it as your backup or disaster recovery site. Or even yun mga intangible things lang na wala kaming AI initiative ngayon or innovation team ngayon or R&D. Pero sana nasa platform na tayo na meron na. So when the time comes na na-form na natin yung team, na latag na yun infrastructure, na latag na yun foundation sa company. So I think that's one. I guess the other one is more on the people process side. Syempre, medyo required si DevOps when it comes to the cloud. So it's just good to really start understanding and appreciating si developers and ops as a business person. May very interesting state of DevOps last year. Sabi niya, there's a strong correlation between the organization's performance and the company's ability to do DevOps. So somehow, yung mga sikat na companies ngayon in the world, puro strong in DevOps na din, di ba? Si Microsoft, si Facebook, si Amazon, si Netflix. If you look at many online sources, sabi, almost all of these companies are strong in DevOps. So it's just good to, as a business user, try to remove that wall and create that bridge, diba, with your developers and operations team.
Alright, so siguro follow-up lang din doon, no? Although nabanggit mo na naman, but then, how can cloud, enable customers or yung companies na maging successful? Na parang, let's say, kung hindi sila gagamit ng cloud, mapag-iiwanan ba sila? What can cloud offer for them na maging successful sila in this day and age?
I think in this day and age, especially with the ongoing pandemic, diba? Cloud enables customers and companies to work from home. That's one. still be very productive maski hindi makapasok ng office. More than just the employment way. Well, from an employment perspective, in fact, even in Microsoft, nakapag-hire kami ng new employees, nakapag-hire kami ng interns, maski hindi pa sila pumapasok ng office. So they use things like Windows Virtual Desktop na may VDI environment sila. Nandun lahat ng kailangan nila. The other thing is, I think, again, sa business requirements and business needs. Usually, if you're not on cloud, most likely, mas matagal mong ma-execute yung projects. Diba? Mas matagal mag-order ng servers, mas matagal maghanap ng capabilities, technologies na i-deploy mo para lang ma-meet yung business needs. With the cloud, it gives you that elasticity. It gives you that parang empowered ka to do everything di ba? Parang nandiyan lang si Azure, hindi mo kailangang gamitin lahat ng meron si Azure. Pero in the event na biglang kailangan mo tong component na to, nandiyan na lang siya. Ang bilis lang niya i-provision.
Mm-hmm. And I think yung nabanggit mo nga kanina about dun sa work from home, I think meron ding common misconception about Microsoft na when it talks about cloud, it's just about Azure. But in fact, kasama rin dun yung Microsoft 365 and yung other components of it, diba?
Agree. So, like the Microsoft Office, Microsoft Teams, si Microsoft Teams is very useful, even for developers, and so right now we do. I actually do sometimes online hackathons o kaya DevOps, nakapag-Scrum session kami with Microsoft Teams. So, yeah, very useful siya.
Alright. Very useful talaga, no? Kasi ako din, di ba, parang like right now, it's pandemic and all, walang flights, but then the world doesn't stop. Diba? So I think cloud can really help us become much more productive and stay relevant in the industry.
Yeah.
Agree.
And I think some people might not be or hindi man sila aware, but cloud has been really around them all this time, diba? So parang iniisip lang natin kasi, or some might think na si Azure, okay, ito yung cloud. Pero in reality, marami pala talagang ginagamit natin na cloud naman, na cloud service din naman, ano.
Oo nga. Agree.
So,
alright.
Ayun.
So ano lang, so parang let's say in your perspective, Raf, where do you think this is going? In terms of where is cloud going? Where is the future of IT going? Ano pa yung magiging trends? And mga magiging new normal in the years to come?
I think right now hindi na masyadong pinag-uusapan kung bakit magka-cloud. In the Philippines mas meron, unfortunately, but even in Asia itself, and especially in the first world countries, it's no longer a question of why cloud. Parang ano na lang, which cloud and what do we want to do with the cloud, diba? I think that trend will continue to increase, and more companies will use the cloud. Sa ngayon hindi ka pa makita na more and more companies going 100% public cloud. Usually may hybrid scenario where certain things are on-prem, certain things are in the cloud. So, yun medyo nakikita ko in terms of usage. Pero definitely, more and more companies will use the cloud for AI. Kasi it's practically impossible. It's possible, pero super costly to implement AI without the cloud. So yeah, feeling ko more and more companies are looking at AI. What can we do with it? How can we help the business? Can we learn from it? So I think yan yung siguro one of the big things about the cloud that companies are using today.
Mhm. And then na-mention mo rin kanina na parang here in the Philippines nga, hindi ganun, Azure is not that, or cloud is not that big compared with other countries. So, I think na pag-usapan din namin ni Michael and some of our guests have said na parang ang problem yata dito is hindi pa ganong informed yung mga Pilipino regarding cloud and hindi ganong educated. So, if magkakapag-suggest ka ng mga resources or anything para makapag-start tong mga developers natin or tayo mga Pilipino with cloud, ano ba yung mga masasuggest mo?
Okay, isa lang, go to learn.microsoft.com or search nyo lang yun, Microsoft Learn. So in Microsoft Learn, you will see it's basically the free online training module of Microsoft, and it's just not, hindi lang Azure, pati Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Power Platform. Ang maganda sa Microsoft Learn, if you go in there, you can search things according to your role. So pag start mo, sasabihin niya, ano ba yung role mo? Developer ka ba? Admin ka ba? Functional consultant ka ba? Estudyante ka ba? Auditor ka ba? Diba? So tapos, pag-click mo ng role na yun, isesend na niya, ililista niya lahat ng recommended courses na pwede mong pag-aralan. Yeah.
And then right after nun, pwede ka pa mag-take ng certifications.
Yes.
Ano?
Yes. After nun, kumuha na kayo ng Azure certification. It will help din with your job applications because basically, ano na yan baseline na yan alam na ni
it validates your learning.
Yeah.
Yep. Like ako ngayon, tinitake ko yung developer path. So hopefully maging maayos naman yung mga exams ko. Yun.
Okay lang yan. Tanong pa lang ako kung may
Sure. So ayun, actually I think yun lang yung mga pag-usapan natin ngayon. Michael, you have any takeaways, thoughts?
Ako, marami akong natutunan kay Raf. Thank you very much. Especially yung sa part na sinabi mong, like developers, hindi na enough maging developers lang. When dealing with cloud, kailangan may infra din. And same with infra, kailangan may dev background din. And I think more and more of that will come soon. Di ba? Na parang maging cross-functional. And a team is just, not just dev, ops. It's going to be a mix of different, diversity of thought and expertise to achieve yung outcome na dinedesire.
And I agree. Actually, I agree. On my end naman, I feel like right here in the Philippines, I feel like some people are actually afraid of going into cloud. Some people are not really that aware of what cloud can do for the companies, for the customers. So I feel like hindi pa tayo sobrang informed, and I feel like in the future, I think, or at least right now, cloud is kind of like a must-have skill or knowledge for the developers, for the infra guys, even IT pros, etc. So yeah, kind of like my takeaway for this podcast.
All right. So Raf, how can people reach out to you? Links, socials?
Sige. For people to reach out to me, I do have a blog in raffertyuy.com. Or just search me in LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Rafferty Uy. It should be in LinkedIn, and you can just ping me from there.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
All right. And then, sige, salamat mga nakikinig. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang gabi sa inyo. Sa susunod ulit.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.